Hello and welcome back to Matt's World. Today we're framing the shed walls. We start out by running a string line down the concrete foundation 5.5 inches from the exterior side of where the wall will end. We then carefully place the bottom plate right on the chalk line on the inside of the building, so not actually where it's eventually going to sit. And with a sharp pencil we transfer the bolt pattern to the bottom plate. You can easily create one of these tools by yourself by punching a 1/2 inch hole, running 5.5 inches down and punching another marking hole. Then go to town with the drill. I used a 5/8 drill bit just to give me a little bit of wiggle room. Test fitting a sill plate is much easier without a wall attached to it. Trust me, I know. And at this point your sill plate should follow your chalk line perfectly. Next thing to do is to lay out your stud pattern. So position the top plate and the bottom plate right next to one another and crown them. Basically, every board has a natural bend to it, and make sure the natural bend faces up. With the two boards aligned, take your speed square and transfer your marks from one board to the other and mark where the stud goes with an X. Rinse and repeat. 16 inch on center in this case. And then it's time to cut some studs. Grab your trusty miter saw and cut them to length. Once again, it's very important to crown the studs if you don't want to have a wavy wall. And then lay them out on the floor according to your previously marked pattern. And start nailing your little heart out. Before nailing on your first sheet of sheathing, it's super important to measure the squareness of your wall. Just measure corner to corner. If you get the same number, she's square. Start sheathing the rest of the wall, maintaining a 1/8 inch gap for expansion. The easiest way to do that is just to nail in two 16D penny nails. Keep on sheathing, and before you know it, it's time to raise the first wall. Put a bit of bracing on, and there she is. And on to the next one. Next one. Before I could continue raising walls, a few of those birch branches had to come down. And wall number 3 goes up.
Good evening. It's the end of the second day of framing and we've made some progress. Look at the beauty. Did the west wall over there in 2 sections just because it's so heavy and cumbersome. And also because we have the elevation change that you can see up in there. So that's where the PVL beam will sit 14 feet supported and then 6 feet overhanging on that end of the building, coming up to that total height there. And from that top elevation, I-joists will run 22 feet in this direction with a 5-foot overhang into that greenery up there. I can tell you one thing, it's one thing to draw a building like this in SketchUp and have a feel for dimensions. It's a whole other ball of wax when you look at a ceiling height like this. I think we're gonna have some good air circulation in this joint. All the walls I've built so far I ran as through walls, so you can see how the wall goes all the way to the end of the concrete. Now, this little 4-footer is going to be a butt wall. It means it butts up against this wall, and it will also butt up against this wall that will be built here tomorrow. So the butt walls come last because they just go in sideways. So tomorrow I have a couple headers to build for a set of French doors that will go in there, as well as the 9-foot garage door which will sit there, and then get cracking on the butt walls. And probably start with the one back here in order to solidify the building, followed up by the small one here, get this corner done, and then the piece de resistance will be the 12-foot header on this end for the garage door. And then I'm going to work. Have a great evening.